So yeah, just got done finished watching UFC 225 and the post-fight press conference. Now, uh, brilliant event. Obviously, as usual, my bets were fucking way off all over the place, but it was a fun event. There were some really top fights on there. I thought Curtis Blades, he looked really good. Uh, I pour over him. That's all I can say. Good lord, those elbows were horrific. Yeah, he didn't really have to finish that fight, I don't think, because I think he was 2 rounds up anyway. But he went for the finish, and fair play to him for doing that. But Robert Whittaker against Romero, incredible. That was what a. I could watch those two fight every week. They seem to always put on like a really great show. So yeah, hats off to both of them. I mean, I know Whittaker, I know that Romero didn't make weight, but he's still someone that I will always tune in to watch, and he put on a great performance. As did Whittaker. Like he managed to weather like a lot of the storms that got brought in. Fair play to him. But the whole CM Punk Mike Jackson thing, I just think it's really kind of odd. Like it was, the fight was as advertised. I thought it was Mike Jackson, clearly looking more experienced, looking levels above CM Punk. And at the end of the day, he went so far ahead that there was no need for him to take any risks, no need for him to go for the finish, because he could just play with him like a killer whale with a seal. And I'm not really sure you can blame Mike Jackson for that, because Dana White seems to have all these criticisms of him, saying, "Oh well, he could have finished the fight at any time, and he's 0-2 as far as I'm concerned." It's like, well, no, incorrect. He's now 1-1. He won the fight in dominant fashion, 30-26. You don't get much more dominant than that. And the thing is, the reason he was allowed to do that was because it was such a massive mismatch, and that's not Mike Jackson's fault. That's on the matchmakers. That's on Dana White and Shelby and the matchmakers. It was always sold as a shit show. So how are you going to blame Mike Jackson that it turned out to be a shit show? That's not on him. I don't understand why Dana White is trying to pretend that it is on him. It's like the whole thing with Mario Yamasaki all over again. That poor girl who got 7 shades smashed out of her by Valentina Shevchenko. Then after the fight, Dana White and everybody are throwing Mario Yamasaki under the bus. So I have a day off. That's not his fault. That was the matchmaking. That girl had never had a fight in the UFC before. She should not have been in there with Valentina Shevchenko. That's not Mario Yamasaki's fault. And just like the same things happened with Mike Jackson. They seem to be using him as a scapegoat. It's like, oh, that fight was a farce. It turned into a shit show. But that's Mike Jackson's fault. Incorrect. Not Mike Jackson's fault. That's on the matchmakers. That's how that fight was sold. It's how it was always going to happen. And basically, there were no surprises there. Exactly what happened. It was exactly what it said on the tin. Effectively. Now, the thing is I don't have many criticisms of Dana White, because as a promoter, I think he's the absolute best in the world. He's turned the UFC into the organisation it is today, and it sounds like I'm shitting all over him, but which I am for these kind of certain bits. I don't have to agree with everything that he does, but on the whole, I think Dana White does an absolutely fantastic job. But I think here he's way off. I think that Mike Jackson did exactly what he was supposed to do. You can't cut fighters for losing fights and then whine when fighters play it safe, and cruise to victory. You've got to have it one way or the other. If you hate decisions that much, make it a rule where it's finish only, and see how that works out. I'd enjoy it, but yeah, that's definitely not on Mike Jackson. I think that people are giving him far too much grief over what was a dominant victory over somebody that shouldn't have been in there with him. I think that he at least deserves another fight. He deserves another fight. Put him against an absolute killer. Have him get absolutely wiped out, and then cut him. But don't cut him after he wins in absolutely dominant fashion, and try and blame him for the fact the fight was a complete farce. That's not his fault. It's not his fault. My sympathies to Mike Jackson, because obviously it looks like he's been removed from the UFC and he's cut. But hopefully he can get some wins in smaller organisations, because I think he at least deserves another crack. But that's my assessment of the situation. Either way, great card. Fucking enjoyed it. Beautiful.